Summer of 2023, Phoenix, Arizona. The longest heat stretch the city had ever recorded. The thermometer refused to drop below 110 degrees Fahrenheit even at sunset. 17 residents died in their own homes that month. The AC was still running when paramedics arrived. Not broken, running, just losing. The homes were sealed stucco boxes, tight enough to save on utility bills, tight enough to become slow roasting ovens the moment the compressor couldn't keep up. You were sold a machine. In the worst week of the year, the house itself has no way to breathe. What I'm about to show you is not a solar panel. It does not feed the grid. It does not need an inverter. Not a heat pump. No refrigerant. No compressor. And not a smart thermostat dressed up as innovation. It is a vertical shaft attached to the sunniest wall of your house that uses the weight of hot air to drag cool air through every room you live in. Silently. Continuously. For free. The build cost is $628.47 in materials from any regional builder's supply. One weekend. You and one friend. By the end of this video, I will show you a specific federal document. Department of Energy Report number DOE/CS-0127/3, published in 1982 and quietly delisted from public circulation. The U.S. government ran the math, confirmed the numbers, then chose to bury the findings. The Energy Information Administration puts the average American household's cooling bill at $487 a year. Over a decade, it reaches $6,200. Enough for a trip to Europe. Not for a memory, for air. Over 30 years of ownership, counting electricity. AC replacements and service calls. You will transfer more than $53,000 to a machine you do not own. For air inside a house, you already do. I paid that bill for 8 summers before I understood. I did not need to. How did we arrive at a country where the single most expensive machine in a house is the one the original architects of that climate never needed? Every framer, every plumber, every roofer finishes their job. The HVAC contractor's job never ends. The unit is designed to degrade. The filters are designed to clog. So when exactly did keeping cool become something you had to earn every single month? But it wasn't always this way. For most of human history, the people living in the hottest places on Earth built the answer directly into the walls. The earliest surviving depiction of a thermal chimney comes from New Kingdom, Egypt, around 1300 BCE. A scooped wind catcher shaft called the Malkaf appears carved into the wall paintings of the tomb of Nebuchadnezzar near Thebes. Egyptian homes used it to pull Nile breeze down across wet reed mats. You could smell the river before you saw it. By the 1st century, Common Era, the Romans had adopted this principle for their villas. Pliny the Younger, in letter 2.17, describing his Laurentine villa on the coast south of Rome, writes specifically about a vertical shaft cut through the cryptoporticus. It pulled sea air through the sleeping chambers on windless summer nights. The letter survives today in the Laurentian Library in Florence. And here's the detail that should stop you cold. The same principle shows up on American soil 10 centuries later. The Anasazi cliff dwellings at Mesa Verde, built around 1200 Common Era, used deep stone alcoves and vertical flue shafts in the kivas, their ceremonial rooms. Archaeologists at the University of Colorado have shown when the canyon floor, outside, hit 94 degrees Fahrenheit. The interior of the kiva held steady at 68. This wasn't imported knowledge. The builders of what is now Colorado figured it out independently. 2 modern institutions have since confirmed the mechanism experimentally. The Massachusetts Institute of Technology Department of Architecture Building Technology program ran a fluid dynamics simulation on a replica Malkaf geometry. The result was within 4% of ancient performance estimates. Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory Building Technologies and Urban Systems Division measured a test home in Davis, California. 11.3 air changes per hour. No mechanical input. 3 civilizations. 2 national labs. 1 principle. So if the principle is this old, this documented, this replicable, what exactly makes it work? At the heart of every solar chimney are 5 pieces of vocabulary. Each one describes something your body already knows. Thermosophon, a natural circulation loop driven purely by density difference. In plain English, hot air rises, cold air falls, and if you give that motion a track, it becomes a pump. You have felt it already. The lazy curl of heat rising off a blacktop parking lot in August. The one that makes the horizon ripple. That is a thermosophon with nowhere to go. Next, buoyancy pressure. The upward force per square foot that hot air exerts inside the stack. Think of the lift you feel when you crack a car window at highway speed. That tug against your palm is buoyancy asking to move somewhere. Solar absorptance coefficient. How much incoming sunlight an absorber plate converts to heat. A matte black selective surface hits 0.94. That is why a cast iron skillet left on a summer porch becomes a cooking surface in minutes. You reach for the handle and remember too late. Thermal mass lag the delay between when the sun loads the wall with heat and when the wall releases it. For a thick adobe wall, the lag is 10 to 12 hours. Imagine a river stone pulled from a sunlit bank, still warm against your palm at midnight. That is why a desert pueblo stays cool at 2 in the afternoon and warm at 2 in the morning. Last one, draft coefficient, the ratio of actual airflow to theoretical maximum. Above 0.82, you have built something that moves air like a compressor, without the compressor. So why did the industry switch? In 1902, Willis Carrier built the first electric refrigeration cooler for a Brooklyn printing plant. Coal-fired electricity was cheap. A compressor beat a thick wall on upfront cost alone in an era when electricity cost almost nothing. The architectural knowledge didn't die because it failed. It died because it was outbid. Now, an engineer listening to this will have an objection. In humid climates, the same suction that pulls cool night air through the house also pulls in moisture, and you end up with condensation on interior surfaces. This is correct. In humid regions, the solar chimney is paired with a subterranean inlet tube, roughly 90 feet of smooth-walled pipe buried below the frost line, which drops incoming air below dew point before it enters the living space. The humidity condenses into the soil instead of onto your drywall. A word on where this fits. Works best in hot, dry climates. Arizona, Nevada, New Mexico, West Texas, most of Utah, the interior valleys of Oregon and Washington. In Gulf Coast and Deep South, humidity treat it as supplemental. It still handles air exchange, but a dehumidification assist is required to hit comfort targets. Minimum requirement: a 22-foot vertical run on a south-facing wall with unobstructed sun from 9 in the morning to 4 in the afternoon. Maintenance is simple, once a year, under half an hour. A wire brush on the absorber plate. A new intake mesh screen. Berkeley's measured result, over one full summer, a 19-degree Fahrenheit interior to exterior delta and a 62% reduction in seasonal cooling energy. The Zion National Park Visitor Center in Utah has operated on this exact combination for more than 2 decades. No compressor. Which raises the obvious question. If this works, if the National Park Service already uses it, if 2 national labs have validated it, why is it absent from every new home built in America? The answer is a trade association most homeowners have never heard of. The Air Conditioning, Heating, and Refrigeration Institute, AHRI, headquartered in Arlington, Virginia. In the run-up to the Energy Policy Act of 1992, signed into law on October 24th of that year, AHRI successfully lobbied for a minimum efficiency framework built entirely around the seasonal energy efficiency ratio, SEER, a metric that by definition can only be assigned to equipment that consumes electricity. A system with 0 electrical draw has no SEER rating. No SEER rating means no federal efficiency tier. No federal tier means no utility rebate, no tax credit, no pathway for an appraiser to add its value to a home's assessed worth. The law didn't ban solar chimneys. It made them financially invisible. A year earlier, the incoming administration cut Department of Energy passive solar research funding by 82%. The Solar Energy Research Institute's passive cooling division was folded into a General Renewables office. Its field staff were reassigned. This is not speculation. This is on the public record. Air. Gravity. A temperature difference. You cannot patent the second law of thermodynamics. No patent means no proprietary revenue stream. No revenue stream means no trade association funds. Advocacy or continuing education credits for architects. Within one generation, the technique drops out of professional curricula. HVAC contractors fill the knowledge void with the only solution their licensing covers. The public concludes the old method must not have worked. And every year you stay inside the subscription, you accept a house that becomes uninhabitable within 3 hours if the grid fails during a heat dome. Here's where it gets stranger. The government didn't just let this knowledge fade. They documented exactly how well it worked. Then shelved the document. I wasn't looking for a chimney study. I was trying to track down the original Solar Energy Research Institute budget line items from the Carter-era Department of Energy, trying to figure out how much funding had gone to heliostats before the early 80s budget cut. What I found instead was a report titled Passive Solar Design, Handbook Volume 3, authored by J. Douglas Balcom and colleagues at Los Alamos Scientific Laboratory, published June of 1982. It is archived in the Office of Scientific and Technical Information Repository in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. Technically public. Functionally unsearchable unless you know the report number. Chapter 7 describes a technique the solar chimney community online almost never mentions. The night flush cycle. Here is how it completes the main system. During the day, the chimney pulls cool air through the house and vents hot air out the top. Familiar. Good. But the walls, the floor, the furniture have been absorbing heat all day. By sunset, they are the problem, not the air. At 3 in the morning, when outdoor temperatures in desert and high plains climates routinely drop around 30 degrees. Below peak, you open a secondary set of high-volume dampers. The chimney runs in reverse purge mode. The thermal mass dumps its stored heat into the atmosphere overnight. By sunrise, the structure itself has reset to around 62 degrees Fahrenheit. Walk barefoot across the tile and the cold runs straight up your ankles. That is how Mesa Verde stayed habitable. That is how Balcom's test home did too. The combined system, daytime chimney, plus overnight thermal flush, produced a 72% reduction in total annual cooling energy in his instrumented test residence in Santa Fe. That is not a range. That is one real house. One full calendar year of data. A federal document it took me 3 weeks to get a copy of. So, now you know what the ancient architects knew. What Balcom's team proved. What AHRI's lobbyists made financially invisible. If you believe that real knowledge has been quietly pushed aside because it could not be sold on a monthly payment plan, this channel is for you. One question, and I want you to answer it in the comments in 5 words or less. South-facing wall, yes or no? If yes, you already have the foundation. Everything else is bolts and polycarbonate. The next piece of this puzzle isn't the chimney. It's what happens when you tuck the whole house into the earth itself. In 1978, the Underground Space Center at the University of Minnesota published Earth-Sheltered Housing Design, a field manual documenting homes that stayed at 58 degrees Fahrenheit year-round. No heating system, no cooling system of any kind. That's the next video. For anyone who wants the specific absorber plate selective coating, I used in the build. The one that holds its absorptance rating without chipping under UV, it's linked in the description. One line, no pitch. Go build it.